You are listening to the Empowering Working Moms podcast, Real Talk with Dr. Prianca Naik, a show to help professional moms in survival mode to take hold of their lives and thrive. If you're ready to take powerful action to create your best life, then this is the show for you. I'm your host, Dr. Prianca Naik, board-certified internal medicine physician and certified life coach. Now let's get to it and dive in. You are listening to the Empowering Working Moms podcast, episode number 5. Hello. So happy that you joined me today to listen. It is springtime here on the East Coast and things feel like they're in bloom. So I felt like this is the best time to get my podcast off the ground. So if you're listening today, hi, I hope you're having a great day. Today I'm going to talk about clean decisions. Because I think a lot of us spend time in spinning and drama in our brains, catastrophizing, obsessing over things, or something referred to as a Brainado, as a friend of mine mentions. He calls it a Brainado because it's kind of a cross between the brain and tornado. But I think that's actually an awesome visual if you can picture your thoughts swirling around like turbulently like a tornado. I think it's a really great picture of how we spend our time spinning. So, I'm sure many of you professional moms out there, you feel exhausted, right? Why do I feel tired all the time? Is this a question that you're asking yourself? Well, many of us with young children, we're sleep deprived and we work a lot. Others of us, maybe we're in denial about this fact and we ask our physicians to do blood work. Do I have a thyroid problem? And this is so funny because I know so many of us physician mothers, we try and, act like our own doctors and we make the worst patients. And I remember one time I was feeling exhausted and I got blood work done to see why. Maybe I was anemic, maybe I had a thyroid problem, and nope, it was all normal. So there were no organic causes for my exhaustion. Maybe just because I mentally exhaust myself. I am overextended at work or at home, right? Does this resonate at all for you? Probably sounds very familiar. And so one of the major ways in which we feel drained and exhausted is that our brains, a lot of the energy of our brains, which is finite energy, right? It's not productive. We get into fight or flight mode. We're obsessing. So many of us, we're type A professional moms. We're perfectionists. We're obsessed with making the right decision. But let me tell you, there is no such thing as a right decision. There's no such thing as perfect. So the perfectionism is really fascinating because we're really just going after something that doesn't exist. And in terms of a perfect decision, like I talked about in last week's people-pleasing episode, there is no perfect decision. There is no right decision. And nobody has the right answers to your life because they are not in your shoes. And only you can decide. No one's watching you in your own home, okay? The pressure is off. Do whatever the fuck you want. I am telling you that, okay? You're a grown-up. I will have a client come to me and say, oh, I needed to get some work done. So I put my toddler in front of the TV and I feel so guilty. What if people knew? What would they think? And I said, well, they don't think anything because they don't know. And do you really think that you did any harm to your child? She says, no. I said, okay, so then what are we even thinking or talking about, right? Wasting time, wasting brain space on nonsense that has no bearing on our lives. So remember, we have a finite amount of brain energy to devote to whichever topics we allow in a given day. And yet, as intelligent and successful as we may be, we find ourselves with our brain spinning back and forth in confusion, in mind drama, and then we feel exhausted, we feel depleted. We go in circles about the same problems over and over again, and then we wonder, why are we so tired? Well, that's why we're tired, or a big part of it at least. Indecision, brainados, obsessing, they are all happiness thieves, okay? They're happiness stealers. So we want to get away from them as far as possible. The first step to doing this is to being aware of our brainados, aware of our thoughts. Only after we realize what we're doing can we actually then make changes. I'm just going to give a personal anecdote about why we do this. I used to take a lot of pride in being deep or philosophical. I come from a family where reading Pulitzer Prize winning books is applauded, and discussion about things beyond the surface level is also a sign of intellect. So, lots of thinking, lots of talking, obsessing was kind of just the way I was raised. And I realized in my post-coaching life that all of this was truly a waste of my energy. And I really needed to be deliberate and intentional on how I was going to use my mind. The intentionality and clearing of the brain clutter frees up so much space that once you start implementing the solutions that I'm going to talk about today, you will see how much lighter you feel. Clean decisions are the key to getting the life we want. Decisions empower us to take control of our lives and our life experience. Our lives are actually made up of a bunch of decisions. Life isn't happening to us. We actually get to decide. We have the privilege, the freedom of decision making. And that's kind of how life goes, right? It's a series of decisions. So you might be thinking, okay, I get it. Yeah, I do. But enough already. I see the problem here. What's your solution? Well, of course, I am going to give you a solution. Here goes. And as you may have guessed, the first part of the solution is awareness. This is honestly the first step in solving any problem. Awareness of what your brain is doing, awareness of what you're thinking, how you're spending your time and energy. One way of being aware is practicing mindfulness. I say mindfulness without the meditation because truly meditation, it's not so much about zenning out and zoning out, but it really helps you to be aware. With enough practice, we can actually apply mindfulness to our lives and become an observer of our thoughts and feelings. I'll dive deeper into this concept in a future episode, but for now, I'll say that being aware of how our mind wanders or goes back and forth acknowledges the potential problem and gives us distance from our own thoughts and feelings. Then we can empower ourselves to notice and decide what we want to do about them, or how we want to view them, or the importance we want to give to them, or the airtime we want to give to them. Once we are aware, we can deliberately make clean decisions. Clean decisions are a major happiness contributor. Because the problem with going back and forth is that we waste a ton of time and energy. We're left exhausted and depleted. But we can actually simplify this process. It's called clean decisions. All we have to do is follow a few basic tenets when decision making. Realize that no decision is permanent. When making a tough decision, you can say, "This is for now. I can always change my mind." Or more importantly, I guess you can think, "This is for now. I can always change my mind." I'll give you an example. I had a client who I mentioned in my first episode. She was in an abusive relationship and she was so afraid of leaving and moving out. We all have a lot of fear. It's how our brains keep us safe. Nothing in life is actually permanent, though, even if we believe it to be. That's actually an illusion. So, with clean decision making, she decided that even though she was afraid, she was going to fear forward, move out anyway, and see how it went. And she kept in mind that this decision aligned with loving herself, trusting herself. She could always change it. She could always change her mind. In a previous episode, I talk about values. So keep that in mind as you ask yourself, does this decision align with my value systems? If I love myself, how would I make this decision? Even if you feel pressure from outside sources, remember your tools to stop people-pleasing from episode 4. Go with your gut. That's it. Simple and easy. This is how we should do things, period. With back and forth, just stop going back and forth. Pick an option and make a decision even if it scares you. Just decide. Because you can. But also remember that you can always change your mind. The next tenet in this is fearing forward. Go forward with something even if it scares you. Remember that nothing gratifying comes easily. Think about pregnancy, for example, right? Babies, they required timed sex. And birthing a baby, that's freaking hard and scary, right? But we did it anyway. I was terrified both times I went into labor, but it happened. It came and it went. It was wonderful. And now I have 2 wonderful children. And always remember that you can change your life. Nothing in life is permanent. If you're the kind of person that needs to research things before making an informed decision, make a limit for yourself in terms of how much research you're going to do. I personally tend to streamline things. I don't do a lot of research because I don't think it's that important. And I find that my time is much more efficient this way. I spend a lot less brain space if I'm not researching as much. And next, lighten up because we take things too damn seriously. We really need to treat things like they're no big deal, even if maybe they are. And this mindset can help us take the pressure off any given situation and lighten up our brains a bit. Also, when making decisions, remember to keep it simple. What would be the easiest decision for you right now? Even if you're overburdened, how can you just keep it simple in your decision? Next, remember to trust in yourself. Believe in yourself to always have your back, to look out for you. I don't care what you did in the past because it doesn't matter. You can always decide to make a change today. Let's say you are trying to eat healthfully and you slip up. Well, in any given moment and any given time, you can actually just decide to proceed with good eating habits. And remember, for past regrets, you did the best you could at the time with the information you had and where you were. In the same vein as people pleasing, stop asking a million people what they think about whatever decision you're trying to make. It's okay to get input, but like I said in the last episode, stand guard to the doorway of your mind. Have a sieve for what you allow to come into your brain. It will keep it much lighter. When making decisions, talk to your cheerleaders, people who are encouraging. Forget about the naysayers. They don't help. If you're having trouble making a decision, ask yourself if your future self would thank you for this decision. This is an awesome way to actually get out of your own head, simplify things, and love yourself. I find this question actually helpful in eating healthfully and drinking mindfully. Do I really need another piece of cake? Will my future self thank me for that? Once we get out of brain drama and make clean decisions, we can actually get into massive action and get the results we want. Try any and all of the above and let me know how it works for you. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Empowering Working Moms podcast, Real Talk with Dr. Prianca Naik. If you are ready to get unstuck and out of survival mode to live your best life, I want to invite you to book a free 30-minute consultation call with me. To get started, visit priyankanaikmdcoaching.as.me. Link in the show notes.